It's not an easy time, it's a very slow, but I've had a satisfactory day just seeing them come to this point. It's crazy seeing three of them together, but yep. So today I'm going to replicate. This is the rear mud shock protector. It's got a bit of damage on it. I'll tell you a funny story when I get to show you the material that I'm going to be using to make these. We're going to get it within reasonable accuracy. So you'll have to look twice to see whether it is original part or a made part. I'm assuming all the way, because this is an injection molded part, so right, let's get the material now. Today I've got a special bunch of parcels arrived. They cost me a fair bit, but I'll explain to you in a minute what I've got here. Really exciting. And this is not related to, I don't think this is related to the RM125. The time of filming this is January 2025, and I'm in the middle of doing the RMs. But in the meantime, I'm also putting together some very rare and difficult spare parts to find for the next two projects, which I still haven't decided which one I'm going to do first, which is either the Norton or the Ducati. And it's been a 50-50 in the comment section, which is great. So let me start with the Norton first. So this is one piece that was missing off the bike, and it's not complete, unfortunately, but very difficult to find, and that is a Smith's tachometer gear drive. So this sits on the side of the engine on these mounts here. Let me get into focus. Sits on these mounts up like that, and then the cable screws in, and then the little wheels go around. Now this is an original one. Somebody can tell me where this comes from? Which country? Anyway, this is the closest I could find. They cost hundreds of pounds to replace. So I've got to find the gearing for this. So if there's anybody that has the gearing for this, this would be the drive gearing from the engine gear, and then the second gear which runs the tachometer cable. If anybody knows or has these parts, that would be great. I could really do with those. So this is for my Ducati subscribers, and for those who are looking at restoring Ducati 916 or similar. So for those who are following the Ducati build, I'm going to share with you a new purchase, two parts, very rare parts from a restorer who does only Ducatis and who was selling a damaged part for this. So let me take you through what I'm going to be doing with this Ducati. I have got the Biposto Ducati 916, and although it's all original and its paperwork as a Biposto, I don't want it to be a Biposto anymore. I want the Monoposto. But I want to do the Monoposto correctly, as you well know I would do. That means that all the parts that I have to find for the Monoposto are rare, because people are swapping out their Bipostos to Monopostos all the time, so all the parts prices are really high. I have found some damaged parts which fits in with all the work that I'm doing on all the side panels for this bike, so that doesn't matter. So I managed to find a reasonable price original OEM part. So let me show you what I've got. So here's the seat for the Monoposto. The Monoposto seat is taller at the rear than the Biposto because of the rear seat cushion which sits on the top of the tail, which doesn't allow this to extend to the full height. And for me, this is a critical thing, because the shape of that whole seat style design, very exaggerated seat, is lost in the Biposto for obvious reasons. It's a compromise. So we've got this wonderful seat back. I'm just wondering where the other part is. So let me look. I'm supposed to have been here by now. Let me just check. Right. So here I have the fork oils. Let's get them in the RMs. This is supposed to spin in a brass bush. So we get a nice, no friction, and that goes on the inside. Nice. So with another. Busy fitting the tires and realize this is completely stripped. So I have a spare somewhere. So this is the only one I have. See, it's a little longer to that. On the rear, this is an 81 fork, 81 frame, and they have a different spacer there. So I had to modify that spacer and then make a new spacer for that because I've only got 2 sets. You can see them here. They're aluminium ones with the steel inner. So that's what's on this one, and this fits perfectly on this particular fork. So it looks as if these are slightly narrower than the 81s for some reason, because they take the standard space. There's one thin one there and the fat one there. And yeah, so now what I'm doing is just choosing the range of quality tires. These are the most scratched up ones, even though they look pretty good, and they still look very good, don't get me wrong, but compared to the other ones, I'm going third, second, first. Right, so we just take that face off, clean it. There's no stickiness at all. Put that back in. Oh yes, always good to have a box of O-rings. This is the original one. I want that size. There we go. You see there's a mark range running from there to there. That's the center of the split. So as a starting point, I'm going to go there, and we'll just test it. Look at that, that's great. Just like new. And then there's another spring that goes on here before I forget. Yep, even stiffer. Nice and gritty. Okay. I'm going to check that the suspension system is working now. Bear in mind I've got no air. You see that? Nice. So I've chosen 3 of the best, or chucked out one. This you can see, this has got a lot of marks on it. So I'm going to do these 3, but That's not the important part. The important part is this bush here. Can't be any play. But they look all okay, so I'm just going to polish them up now. Alright, so you can see now, straight off, is these ovalized, worn parts, which causes this to, every time you apply the brake, to have a little bit of play, which has obviously got worse and worse and worse over time, so I'm not going to use this one. Okay, this is the Ace one. This is going to a bike. There. This one, which is still good, is going to go here. Usually I wouldn't bother showing you all these rather mundane tasks, but this just gives you an idea. If you didn't see this, you wouldn't have any empathy for me. It's taken me literally an hour to find in the box all these seals that go with these bolts, and they've got castle ends on them, so they're castle nuts, which means you put a split pin through the bolt. So I had to find all these parts because the ones that were in there weren't wrong, but the previous owner of these had actually kept them somewhere in a box, so I managed to find them. And these are the retainers to the front, so they got lock ends on them, which you need because they do come out. If you remember, I think with the RM250, I was riding up and down and I just started and the thing had already rattled loose and hit the tarmac and came back and snapped the lever off. So that was fun. So I'm not going to let that happen again. So yeah, let's clean these up. You can see they're in a pretty poor state. See what people's solutions for stripped threads are. They just put a bolt on bolt side. We want to do this right, so I'm going to thread this side. I'm going to put a heady coil in, and that should do the trick for this side. So let me get on with that now. That's the one. All wheels in now. It's literally taken an entire day to do this because there's so many missing bits and pieces. You can see here on these springs, and then there's washers that I haven't put in, so I've got to take this out again. This is about the third or fourth time I've removed this. And then I've noticed some play in this brake housing. So I'm going to have to look for a better one if I have in spare. I found another spring for that, and I'm missing a spring for this one. And then I've got to see whether the brake pads that I've got in these are okay. Otherwise, I've got to save up a bit more and get those done. But yeah, on the whole, I think the bikes are looking more like RMs now. The problem that I'm having is that this inner bush here is so worn that the bush inside has just got too much play. So I tried this one. This one is a lot better, but this is missing. You can see this little coupling here has been pressed out. So I've just taken the one out of the part that I was using, and I'm putting it back into the new part. So I've never done this before, but it's just a press out or just tap it out. This is now swapped over. It's going to fit it. Because I don't have an oven, I'm going to try and heat cure this pipe. Because it basically needs a heat treatment to cure the pipe so that it becomes impervious to fuel, for example. I don't know, I don't have an oven, so it's very difficult to know if I'm doing anything wrong, so I'll just keep going. Okay, promise not to laugh. There's an old grubby shower trail. Now you might be saying Rob has completely lost his mind, but I don't think I have. I'll tell you why, for several reasons. This material on this side is still good. The thickness is about right. This looks like it's moldable, so I'm going to cut pieces out and just see how much flex and how I'm able to melt this material. But let's see how I go to transform this into new restored rear mudguard flaps. Should be a fun one. So this is good. This is flexing nicely. It's not melting. And it looks like it's a very adaptable material for working. So I'm glad I pulled this out the skip. So there's the template now. So you can polish a turd. At this part you have to do very gradually. Okay, learning on the job. Just quickly cool that down. So now we've got probably an over bent, but that's okay. That's fairly robust. I can always ease that off, rather have it too much and then bring it back out again. But yeah, so next is going to be how much heat I apply to this and how I do this. It's going to be interesting. I'll probably put it in a vise, hold that down, and then heat the end and bring it round. Last shape in. Drill will cut that, and then I've used this heat torch just to give direct contact heat to this side. So you can see that's coming out nicely. Really quick. So let's remind ourselves what we started with, to copying this to that. I'm so glad I grabbed out of the skip, because it can turn into that. Okay, a little bit of adjustments. This is is what's so satisfying, I think, about the type of restoration I do, is repurposing materials. Because let's face it, these plastic parts don't know that they're shower trays or that they're in the skip. They're just there for us to use or to discard. Well, that came out above my expectations, if I'm honest. I thought they would be pretty good, but not quite as good as this. So, yeah, what can I say? I wasn't looking forward to doing this because it's a lot of fabrication work.
Thanks, Nita.
Hi.